What's going on, guys? This is Badass Reviewer, and today I'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series White Tiger figure. So I was pretty excited about this figure because I really like the Ultimate Spider-Man TV show, and I've always wanted to get a White Tiger figure to display with my Spider-Man and all of his other teammates from that show. So we finally got it, and it's pretty nice. I like this figure quite a bit, and I had pretty high hopes for this figure, and I'd say it came out just exactly how I expected to. It is pretty cool. Not too much going on with it, but you know, that's the character and that's how she looks, so there's not too much to complain about. I would say there would be nice to have a little bit more shading, but I think it still came out pretty nicely. So anyways, let's get into it. Very nice looking sculpt, obviously just using the Spider-Girl Jubilee mold that they've been using for these smaller female figures, which I think is good for her because she's not too big, but she's not too small. Or I mean, she's not super big character-wise, and I'm guessing this is probably because she's a younger character. So I think it works good. I can't imagine them using the other female body mold. I think it would not work as good as considering that the other female mold is a little bit bustier and has a bigger butt. So obviously this works perfect. Taking a look at the head sculpt, pretty much just a plain white head sculpt. Kind of reminds me a lot of Batgirl, the Stephanie Brown, I believe is her name. That's kind of what this reminds me of, except that she's got a white mask and green eyes, which I think the green is pretty cool. I kind of like the neon lime green that they got going on for pretty much the, I guess it's just the eyes, and then the little amulet here, which we'll go over in a second. So yeah, not much to say. The sculpting's good. I just kind of wish there was a little bit more shading, which there isn't any at all. It's pretty much just white plastic, and then the green eyes, which I do like. The hair is sculpted pretty nicely. It does kind of get in the way a little bit. It gets in the way a little bit more than the Spider-Girl figure did, which, you know, if you know that figure, the hair is long, but since it's in a ponytail, it doesn't get in the way too bad. But sometimes they kind of get snagged on the shoulder and the back, so it is kind of annoying. But nothing big there. There's really no shading in the hair either, so pretty much that's it for the head. Taking a look at the amulet, which is the only other part that has any kind of detail. It's sculpted how it should. It looks pretty nice. I mean, you can clearly tell it's a kind of a tiger there. I think I don't know if it's supposed to look like it's glowing or something. It's painted in the same kind of green. It's not as neon looking, but then it kind of has like this yellow to accent the paws and the head, and then it's kind of, I don't know if maybe it's just paint blemishes or something, but then there's a little bit of yellow kind of spread throughout the necklace. So it looks kind of weird for the neck piece to have that, but the rest of the amulet looks pretty cool. So I don't know if it's just supposed to look like that or what, but anyways, taking a look at the rest of the body, like I said, there's really nothing new to this body mold except for maybe the hands, which are kind of they're not new, but they've modified them a little bit. I'll go over that in a second, but for the most part, it's pretty much the same mold. There's no new details to it. There's no shading at all. It's pretty much a solid white plastic that they molded everything in. The torso seems, or I guess the lower part of the torso seems to be a little bit shinier than the rest of her body. It looks like they used a different type of plastic or something, or somehow they painted this. I don't really know. It just seems shinier at the bottom than it does the top, and it might help to get a black background to see, but hopefully this is kind of picking up. It's kind of hard, it's so bright, but yeah. Anyway, so that's pretty much it, and then she's got the little details here and there for the little design of the tiger or whatever, which it seems like it's painted pretty well. I don't see any kind of paint bleeding except for on the shoulder here, but that's about it. Otherwise, it's pretty clean for the most part. Coming back to the hands I believe are just reused from the Black Cat mold. However, they modified it so that way it has hinges excuse me, So now it has hinges, so you can actually make it go, you know, make the wrist go in and out, as opposed to just having the swivel, which I think is very nice, because not having wrist hinges is kind of annoying when you want to pose a character, because they're always going to be stuck in this kind of like arm wrestling pose, kind of like how the Black Cat figure was. It was kind of like you want to arm wrestle, and then it was like, oh, I can arm wrestle 2 people at once, and then they go, ugh, ugh, ugh. So yeah, I think it's really nice that they did that. I kind of wish they would have had maybe an alternate hand where the hand was a little bit more outward, kind of like in a scratching pose. I mean, this kind of looks like a scratching pose, but I mean, maybe the fingers would be extended out a little bit more, but this is still good. I still like it for the most part, so nothing too major, and it's more of just a slight, you know, just kind of wishful thinking. But anyways, going over articulation, it's exactly the same as the female, or the Spider-Girl figure that have been coming out. So it's on a ball hinge and a swivel, so the head goes down, it goes up. The hair does get in the way, so you kind of have to finagle it around, but it does go up and down, goes left and right. The arms go in and out, rotate 360 degrees at the shoulder. No bicep swivel, but she does have a 90-degree at the elbow, as well as the little hinge, so that's kind of like the elbow joint for you. She's got a hinge in the wrist as well as a swivel. She's got the upper diaphragm joint, which doesn't get too much articulation going forward. It does go back a little bit, and it goes side to side pretty well. Wish it could go a little bit forward, a little bit more forward, but that's alright, I guess. But the legs, they're on ball pegs, so they kind of just swivel around in any kind of direction you want. They can go forward and not really back due to the sculpting, but they can go out and in. They can rotate at the upper part of the thigh. Double jointed knees, a rotation at the upper part of the shin here, a rotation in the foot, as well as a pivot. So quite a bit of articulation. I think it's pretty good for this character because she is a very nimble person and she does a lot of acrobatic stuff, so it makes sense for her to have tons of articulation, so you can pose her however you wish. I will say though, on this mold, I'm noticing that the female, or like the hips, are going to be a little bit loose. Mine are okay for the most part, but I feel at some point that they're going to get loose inside the ball peg to the point where you know, the legs are just going to be really loose and floppy. Hopefully that's not going to be a more reoccurring problem in the future, and hopefully it doesn't cause a big problem in the future for when these figures get older and the joints kind of give out. So I guess watch out for that. Maybe that's, and you can pop them out of the thing too if you want, and I would say maybe if it did get to that point, just pop out the legs, put some glue inside of it, and then put it on the ball peg and just kind of move it around until it dries, and that should tighten it up. So if that happens, I'd recommend doing that. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but I guess we'll just kind of find out and see when as the figure ages. But for now, it's still a good figure. If you like the Ultimate Spider-Man series, or if you like White Tiger in general, I would definitely recommend picking up this figure. And that's about it, guys. So stay tuned for more figure reviews coming out of this wave. I have, I think, 3 more. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you later.